are here today at the Springfield site to demonstrate to you the circumstances around the death of Ron Mills on November 3rd of 1996. In addition to that, the Springfield team will share with you the reliable methods that they've established to prevent reoccurrence of this type of situation in the warehousing facilities.
The way it affected me personally was that I ended up losing not only a man that I worked with and a good worker on my crew, but I lost a friend.
Ron, to me, was a reason to come to work every day.
I don't think there's anyone in Springfield who wasn't deeply disturbed, personally affected by finding out about Ron's death.
None of our lives will ever be the same around here again.
We open up a cabinet, we open up a control panel and see his tracks all over it, and it makes us kind of stop and think about him a little bit, and it hurts each time we do that.
I guess the reality of seeing a fellow employee of the mill there, lifeless, it was like hitting a brick wall.
The reason I think we're doing this video is to let everybody out there know what has happened and how you can possibly keep it from happening in your facility.
Springfield, as a community of people at this mill, lost a very well-liked and very well-known co-worker, someone that we'd been around for years and years. In order for that loss not to be a waste, it seems to me that we have to be able to try to help other people understand what we learned.
I allowed this interview because I don't want anyone else to have to go through the same thing that we've went through here at Springfield. I don't want to see any other families disrupted, and I definitely don't want my wife to get the word that something's happened to me.
It's only worthwhile to do this kind of a video if you think it can make a difference for somebody else.
It was a little after 3 that Sunday afternoon during the shutdown when Ron Mills left this electrical cubicle, came down this ramp, headed for number 2 machine. 200 Heister was coming down the alley this way. We believe Ron was carrying a spool of wire on his right shoulder, which aided in obstructing the vision. It was about this point that the impact happened. Both of them going about doing their jobs that they do every day and do well. But for a few seconds that day, neither one of them was aware of the other's presence, and it ended in a tragic fatality.
You don't have a minute or so to see this situation developing. It happens in a matter of seconds. In the time it takes a guy to change the direction on his machine from forward to reverse, you can have somebody else walk in front of you. Just a matter of a few short seconds is all it takes to cost a life.
The two people, the driver of the fork truck and Ron, didn't see each other, or we wouldn't have this accident. Had one of them seen it, it would have been eliminated.
What got Ron is something that's very basic, and we go to our safety meetings and we get safety meetings on tool usage and on climbing ladders and all the stuff that's every day. Ron was killed on something we learned about from day one at Mother's Knee, and that's crossing the road. We've got to pay attention to everything, right down to the basics we learned as a child.
First of all, and I would say foremost, we had to look at our pedestrian practices here at Springfield. And that's examining walkways that we have in the mill, what are appropriate entrances and exits from buildings, and what are the appropriate walkways to and from buildings, and also to deal with some policy around who has the right-of-way. Does the pedestrian have the right-of-way, or does mobile equipment have the right-of-way?
I don't believe that any of us ought to be standing on the thought that I have the right-of-way and someone else does not.
We have established a policy here at Springfield that neither has the right-of-way.
We mapped out some areas for pedestrian walkways. We decided to do this after the accident. We got together for on the accident investigation, and we got these cones out for temporary till the weather dries, and so we're going to paint them permanent painting for the walkways around the mill.
Stop, look, listen, be aware that, that there's mobile equipment and other people around.
The three most important words is stop, look, and listen.
We also looked at how do you carry materials from one place to the other, because we felt that that also could have been a contributing cause to the accident.
We decided that if you needed to carry an item, you needed to transport it manually, one of the things you should probably do is try to use a hand truck or a mechanic's cart or a lift truck.
If you don't need a large fork truck, take a small one. If you don't need a flatbed, take a pickup. If you don't need a vehicle, don't take it. It seems to me that to the greatest extent possible, if we can minimize vehicular traffic on the plant site, we can minimize the opportunity for it to create problems.
If we have a big load, wide load, or tall, then we need to drive in reverse where we can get a good clear vision of where we're going.
If you're having trouble backing up, seeing, stop, call for a spotter, please. It's more safe that way. It might take you longer, but it's safer.
I'm one of the EMTs that got to Ron right after the incident. I was there within 2 minutes. One thing we learned that we needed to get better on was in our emergency response system. The 911 call was not able to be connected immediately the way we wanted it to be. So as we researched mechanically the phone system and we couldn't replicate a failure, we did contact the local 911 agency. We arranged with them to do testing on a monthly basis.
One of the most important things we did was to change our weather curtains from a solid piece of felt to a clear vinyl. And as you can see, before we had the clear vinyl, you couldn't see it through this corner or around here. And so with this heavy vinyl, in all four sides, we have direct visibility for any vehicle traffic.
Don't get in a hurry and carry the wire instead of get a cart. Don't get in a hurry and go out the back door. Don't get in a hurry to go through an area to deliver a load. Don't get in a hurry and use the wrong piece of equipment. Don't get in a hurry.
The accident occurred about 30 feet or 50 feet from where we're at. I always think of it when I'm in this area. I don't want to see that happen again to anybody.
I don't want you to go through what I went through on November 3rd, 1996. The experience of telling a family that a loved one will not be returning home was one of the most difficult experiences of my life.
Nobody else's family has to go through what his family's going through even today yet.
You don't want to be in a position where you realize that you're the last living person that he sees before he passes away.
I'm very emotional when it comes to people's safety. I don't want to see people get injured.
The vast majority of accidents are within our control to prevent, and that's what we have to do.
I've learned that the job is going to get done one way or the other, and I'm not in a hurry to do the job anymore. If I have 10 calls, I'm going to just take my time and get the job done safely. I'm not going to be pushed into hurrying up and doing a job because somebody else is in a hurry. It will eventually get done, and nothing is worth rushing and getting into an accident and over.
What I wasn't able to handle was being with someone that was a friend, a colleague, a co-worker, and having to accept the recognition that there was nothing I could do for him.
What I want for you is to come into work and knowing that you're going to go home safely and in one piece, and that your family's going to be waiting for you there, and that your family knows that you're going to be coming home tonight.
For us, Ron Mills was a victim. We lost Ron Mills. You don't know Ron like we do, but he was our friend. The person sitting next to you might be your friend. I want you to think as if that person is the potential fatality. How would you behave differently? Would you take care of his safety if you thought he might die tomorrow? What if you saw something in your mill that could hurt anybody? Would you take care of it now? If you thought it could kill somebody, I think you would. We will.
One untimely event took Ron away from us all. And I think what has happened here puts a lot of responsibility on all of our shoulders. And all the people here on the site at Springfield have an enormous responsibility to take ownership to make sure that something like this never happens again.